There was a time when Disney's very name meant enchantment, surefire box office gold, and the power to capture imaginations across every generation. Now, rumors of a stunning downfall have grown so loud that it's hard to separate fact from fiction. At the heart of this swirling storm lies Disney's live-action adaptation of its most iconic fairy tale, Snow White, a fresh-faced rising star, a beloved Alistair and a beloved classic. What could possibly go wrong? According to the latest rumblings, a lot more than anyone ever expected. From the day it was announced, the concept behind the new Snow White set social media ablaze. Enthusiasts hoped for a modern twist on the gentle 1937 classic, while Disney insiders teased an extravagant production that might rival anything the studio had done before. People who saw Rachel Zegler sparkle in her previous musical projects believed she'd usher in a new era of fairy tale heroines. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot, celebrated worldwide for a legendary superhero role, promised to bring a regal aura to the evil queen. For a studio that's repeatedly broken box office records, combining a well-known story with these two talents looked foolproof on paper. The big idea: preserve the essence of the timeless fable while weaving in fresh themes for younger audiences, including a more assertive protagonist and forward-thinking messaging. The hype built fast, with talk show appearances and early teasers fueling chatter that this Snow White would be the ultimate crowd-pleaser behind the scenes. However, something seemed off. Insiders whispered about small disagreements between Rachel and Gadot. Things any production might deal with that suddenly ballooned into bigger problems. Rachel's interviews, in which she labeled certain aspects of the original story outdated, sent tremors through longtime Disney loyalists. Fan forums buzzed with outrage. Did she grasp the enduring charm of the first Disney princess? Gal, revered for her confident yet approachable public persona, reportedly tried to steer the spotlight back to the production's scope, but it didn't stop gossip from exploding across social media. As these whispers grew, so did accounts of behind-the-scenes tension. Word leaked that schedules were being rearranged to accommodate reshoots more than usual for a project of this scale. The film's crew, already battling a packed timeline, found themselves working around hush-hush script changes and rumored creative struggles. Every snippet of drama fueled another swirl of speculation, causing fans and critics alike to wonder, how could what seemed like a golden production slip toward chaos? If there's one thing that lights up warning signs for any major film, it's a ballooning budget. Early reports hinted the cost for Snow White hovered around the $200 million mark. Then word spread that the number might actually exceed $350 million when factoring in marketing expenses, extensive reshoots, and last-minute production demands. Each time a new set piece was redesigned or a costume was tweaked, the expense shot higher. Meanwhile, tensions over artistic direction reportedly reached a boiling point. Some believed that the original's old-fashioned tropes needed a complete overhaul, while others argued that straying too far would alienate loyal fans who grew up cherishing the film's classic charm. Rachel's stance was often at the forefront. She wasn't shy about calling certain plot points problematic, and some older fans interpreted her comments as disrespectful or even dismissive. Gal, typically calm under pressure, faced her own share of controversies for occasionally mixing political commentary into her public statements. As rumor had it, neither star appreciated the other stepping into territory that might tarnish the film's overarching image. In an attempt to appease all sides, Disney gave the green light to multiple script reworks. Each new rewrite introduced fresh scenes, demanded reconfigured sets, or required still more reshoots, piling expenses higher. The end result was a production schedule that felt as if it might never end, draining both finances and goodwill as the studio tried to maintain a public front of confidence. All the while, Snow White faced a raging debate about how far Disney should push its modern updates. Early on, talk emerged about the portrayal of certain classic elements: the dwarfs, the princess's innocence, and the evil queen's motivations. On top of that, Rachel Zegler's remarks on how the 1937 classic presented a storyline no longer relevant to today's audience stirred both support and fury. Some fans applauded the effort to create a strong heroine with her own ambitions, unshackled from the idea of waiting for a rescue. Others saw it as a betrayal of what made the fairy tale timeless in the first place. Suddenly, every storyline detail, casting choice, and press quote felt like tinder for controversy. Critics feared that a beloved piece of cinematic history was being cannibalized by modern agendas, while others hailed these changes as necessary evolutions for a more inclusive and enlightened era. It didn't help that each interview snippet or social media post arrived with ammunition for either side. On one hand, progressive audiences lauded the shift toward empowerment. On the other, longtime Disney traditionalists felt alienated or downright offended. Through it all, rumors swirled that even the leads weren't aligned. Allegedly, Gail wanted to ensure the evil queen retained both menace and a hint of relatability, whereas Rachel believed in fully dismantling the damsel archetype. Whatever the case, these differences fueled the sense that the two stars were never quite on the same page, inciting the gossip mill to churn even harder. Then came the bombshell that turned the entire saga upside down. Talk that Disney might be seeking a partial refund from Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. It sounded unbelievable. Was one of the world's most legendary studios actually holding its top-billed actors responsible for the film's rumored financial fiasco? While no official documentation has publicly confirmed such a move, the notion alone rattled Hollywood. Some speculated that if personal drama and off-screen conflicts could be blamed for diminishing public interest, then maybe the stars had breached certain conduct clauses. Others considered it a mere scare tactic or a move to wrestle the narrative away from the avalanche of bad press. Industry veterans scoffed at the idea. Studios seldom recoup costs from actors, unless there are extraordinary circumstances. Even then, the public rarely hears about it. Yet the story gained momentum online, as insiders claimed friction between Rachel and Gal was so damaging that Disney's upper management explored every possible avenue to recoup losses. A meltdown of this scale, they whispered, wouldn't go down quietly. Whatever the truth, the conversation alone was enough to spark another round of heated debate. One camp insisted that Disney was simply scapegoating to women who, in their view, dared to speak out on creative changes. Another camp felt the lead's public remarks undermined the film's brand from the get-go. Hence, a portion of the responsibility lay squarely with them. Of course, the question of contractual obligations, whether or not the two stars had actually violated any provision, loomed large. So far, though, no official statement has clarified the matter, leaving the rumored refund demand to swirl through gossip channels and keep online chatter at fever pitch. As the release date approached, the controversies overshadowed nearly everything else. Mentioned Snow White 2025 in public, and the immediate response wasn't about the visuals, the cast, or the enchanting music. It was about rumored chaos. Even those excited for a modern Disney fairy tale started to wonder if the project was in shambles. Disney's once robust marketing machine appeared to pivot, reducing red carpet events, pulling back on press tours, and spotlighting the film selectively. Those efforts to minimize the glare came too late to douse the flames. Social media watchers gobbled up every leaked moment. One day, fans heard talk of Rachel allegedly halting a photo shoot with demands for more retakes. The next day, stories emerged of Gal's growing impatience. Amid repeated scheduling conflicts, each side had defenders and detractors. Some industry insiders suggested that if this negativity continued, the film's box office performance might nosedive, leaving Disney scrambling to pivot to a swift streaming release. In the background, the PR team faced a near impossible juggling act: how to maintain some semblance of hype while deflecting wave after wave of criticism. The promise of astonishing cinematography or updated musical numbers might have swayed fans in the past. But now every official teaser or promotional poster simply became another reason for online debates. And overshadowing everything was the constant whisper: will Disney really force its leading actors to pay part of this back? As more test screenings took place, the feedback generated mixed to negative buzz. Even those who lauded the film's aesthetic grandeur felt the core lacked emotional pull. Early watchers noted that, however dazzling the sets, the on-screen relationship between Rachel's, Snow White, and Gal's, evil queen never found a compelling groove. It looked polished, they said, but it lacked the heart that defined the 1937 original. Industry insiders lamented the missed opportunities. With two such promising talents in lead roles, the project had been poised for massive success. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about the perils of trying to update a centuries-old story without alienating longtime fans. Critics pointed out that behind all the reshoots and script changes, the tension seemed to have seeped into the final product, dulling any natural chemistry between the leads. On top of that, the behind-the-scenes drama cast a wide shadow over everyone else's work. Costumers, set designers, choreographers, and visual effects teams reportedly poured their hearts into creating a world that felt both nostalgic and fresh. But few outside the industry cared to talk about that. Online discourse was fixated on rumors of star feuds and spiraling budgets. The entire creative team risked watching their efforts overshadowed by wave after wave of scandalous headlines. Executives at Disney tried to salvage what they could. Some believed a robust overseas audience might still turn out, even if domestic viewers stayed away. Others pinned hope on a timely streaming release, theorizing that a second wave of curiosity, be it positive or negative, might drive enough clicks to offset a lukewarm theatrical haul. Yet in every conversation, that dreaded notion of a refund demand resurfaced, fueling cynics who said the studio must be truly desperate to recoup any fraction of the rumored losses. Now, as the film stands on the brink of public release, the main question is no longer, will Snow White 2025 be a success? Instead, it's, how did everything get so out of hand? A production that started with so much promise could go down as one of the most controversial and potentially disastrous Disney ventures ever. Rachel Zegler, once touted as the next major Disney star, is grappling with the fallout of seemingly alienating a core fan base. Gal Gadot, typically above drama, finds her reputation questioned because of whispered feuds. And Disney faces a mountain of speculation about whether it truly threatened legal or contractual action to recoup part of the film's staggering cost. Regardless of what the final box office numbers say, the bigger blow might be to Disney's image. Remakes, reboots, and reimaginings have been a lucrative wellspring for the studio. But perhaps this experience will make them rethink how to handle legacy properties and star-studded productions. After all, if a brand as formidable as Disney can stumble so severely with its very first fairy tale, what does that signal for future projects? Then there's the question of how the public will remember Snow White 2025 in years to come. Some might recall it simply as the attempt to modernize a classic that went off the rails. Others will dwell on the real-life drama, the star conflicts, and those puzzling rumors that Disney wanted its leading ladies to pay back massive sums of money. The film itself may be overshadowed by the controversies, serving as a case study in how quickly a blockbuster can crumble when off-screen battles spiral out of control. Yet perhaps, amid the uproar, a lesson emerges. Nostalgia is powerful, but so is evolution. Audiences want fresh perspectives, but not at the expense of what made them fall in love with these tales to begin with. Striking that balance is tricky, maybe more complex than anyone initially realized. Whether you're a lifelong Disney fan or just watching from the sidelines, it's hard not to wonder if Snow White 2025 will be remembered as the moment the studio finally confronted the limits of its tried-and-true remake formula. In the end, we're left with more questions than answers. Could a more unified vision have salvaged the film? Would stronger leadership have steered Rachel and Gal toward better harmony? Or was this production simply fated to crash under the weight of astronomical budgets, creative disagreements, and swirling social media noise? One thing remains certain. The Snow White saga is a testament to how a fairy tale can grow thorns when real-world egos, public perception, and corporate strategies collide. Whether Disney truly demanded that its two leading ladies fork over a fraction of the costs, the story alone marks a turning point in how we view these massive, nostalgia-charged endeavors. If you've followed every twist and turn, perhaps you're asking yourself one last question. Is this the cautionary tale that finally changes how Disney approaches its legendary remakes? With so much speculation, so many rumors, and so few definitive answers, that's a question only time and the harsh court of public opinion can settle. For now, all anyone can do is watch and wonder if the transformation of Snow White has exposed deeper cracks in the very foundation of the studio that made her famous in the first place.